So we are going to talk about training around training sessions and game days as well. A lot of athletes tend to look into the issue of trying to train legs around such a sport and then just get fatigued over a period of time. So we need to kind of address the kind of red flags and then also look into the fact that we don't need to train in one specific method on that specific day. So a lot of people tend to try and do lower body as one entire session, which doesn't really need to be the way, because there'll be something when you look into the minimal effective dose and the maximum recoverable volume. The big one for the majority will be the maximum recoverable volume, which is essentially you're just pushing to a point of fatigue where it just takes you longer to actually recover from that session. One method we can actually use for this is looking at just increasing or decreasing the amount of exercise we do on specific body parts within certain phases of the week. Because a lot of people just look to do one whole leg session instead of spacing the 10 sets or the 12 sets that you would do for one session. And why not put that over the space of 4 to 5 sessions a week, or 3 to 4? 12 as an example, you could do 4 sets on legs, or 3, depending on the amount of training sessions you have per week. It also gives you access to give a little bit more priority towards certain movement patterns. So for a lot of team sport athletes and runners, hamstring work will be a bit more required because of the injury risk that inherently comes from running. If you need to build overall strength, it might mean that instead of doing your squats, RDLs, leg extension, seated hamstring curls, which typically just will fill out their entire session and being fatigued for a few days, you can then just put a little bit more bang into your book. So you could do 2 sets of squats, 2 sets of RDLs, and then do that twice, 3 times a week, and actually just space that out so that you actually get movements that are a little bit more dynamic and required for your sport, as opposed to something that's going to be isolated and not required, like at the end of a session, as a fluff exercise. So you can change the demand on your body and the requirement of each phase to what you need. Obviously, if we're going to look in terms of training and we have a Wednesday training session and a Saturday game day or a Sunday game day, we would look in terms of saying, right, okay, I know that I can do 3 sets on my lower half and then be fresh still to then go and train the next day. So can we just put that in for 3 days a week? So we could say as an easy one there, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday morning, and you could put the Saturday morning in as a little bit of plyometric work. So it's not going to be too demanding on a muscular level, and it's actually going to prime us a little bit better for that game day as well. So you can easily space that out. And then you can also actually look to space out the actual training method you go for as well. There is no such requirement to have strength for an entire week or an entire month. You can also look to basically just spacing it out so that you have your training in terms of the time before your session, you're doing your strength work, one day you're doing your hypertrophy work, and another day you're doing your power work. So you can look at it in a conjugated method, so you can pick a couple of different attributes that you need for your sport and work on them on separate days and just see what's more required and what's more energy exerted for me to go and do this, and how does that fit into the space of my week.